Belichick was on the Pat McAfee show starring A.J. Hawk, and he talked about, just sort of the rumors out there, the speculation when it comes to the draft and players, quote unquote, stock rising in the draft, and just what that actually means behind the scenes.
The biggest newsmakers here quietly are the agents. Nobody wants their player to get picked higher than them. So a lot of the information I think that comes to the media about who's going to draft who, how high they're going to go is, a lot of media driven. So, when the agent hears, well, my player could go anywhere from the second or the third round, you add one to that and say, well, these GMs or these teams are talking about taking my guy in the first round. I've never done that. I've never told an agent, hey, we're going to take your guy in this round. We're going to take your guy with this, with the 27th pick or the 31st pick or whatever pick it is we have. I don't think there's too many teams that do that. But I think the agents will say, hey, my guy's going to go at 31 to this team. My team guy's going to go at 17 to that team, that type of thing. And then that just generates interest in their player.
So that was Belichick yesterday talking with Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee show starring A.J. Hawk. And what's funny about that, though? We know all this. People have said stuff like this, and yet we still or at least I take the bait every single time and read into it and love reading about these rumors. Even though I know majority of them aren't true, I love the draft so much. Throw whatever you want on it, and I'm going to take it. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll take whatever info you got, even the bogus stuff.
It's unfortunate, though, that you do get some bashing of players because of it. Like, ultimately, people who are impacted the most are the individuals that other agents are having to put down in order to elevate their player, or at least perceivably. And another thing about that is it doesn't bode well for them then when their client doesn't go as high as maybe they're telling them, or they're trying to pump them up in the media to go. Like, if I'm a media member and I'm talking to an agent, which I don't talk to agents. I can't stand agents. I seriously, like, I just, even my buddies who are agents, I'm just like, oh man, like, can I even take anything they're saying and not feel like it's biased in some capacity? So I apologize to my friends and people, even my own agent, which I would say he's probably like the least agent-y agent that's out there, who I love, and that's why I'm with him. But I digress. Like, I just, if they're telling you something and then it doesn't end up being true, because a lot of times you can just go call the team or someone within the team and fact check that, they lose all credibility. Like, that's what I don't understand about a lot of the media in today's world is it lacks credibility in a lot of ways because they will go with anything, whether it's an agent or even a low-level scout that you see have these anonymous sources from a scout, which I'm like, yeah, well, dude, like, are they telling you the truth? Like, what's their incentive to tell you the truth? Like, what's the incentive to tell any media member the truth about what they're going to do with their team? They could risk losing their job. They could risk, losing any credibility they have in their organization and the players they're scouting. It never makes any sense to me this time of year. But, again, the media just runs with it just to create clicks. And that's the business we're in, unfortunately.
Well, and it's clout, not just the clicks. It's the relationships for some. I mean, I, too, have a close friend that is an agent, and he's like kind of like the only agent that I'm okay with, that I like. That was almost like the fart noise that Joel hit us with the other day. Like this kind of.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was kind of bad.
Give him shouts out.
It was just, well, that's not my friend.
Okay.
But to that point, with that name you just said, there are people out there that like to be friends with these dudes.
Well, he's behind the scenes manipulating stuff, manipulating narratives.
That's the point I'm making. I mean, these guys like to be friends with these agents for one reason or another, and they're willing to, hand in hand. I do this for you. Maybe you'll invite me to a party, or you'll let me get an exclusive interview, or whatever it may be. It's all about leveraging, and I don't know. I just feel like when you get into the whole idea of how things are being communicated and how they're being done. I know when I was coming out of school, my whole thing was just Just work your ass off. You did everything that you could possibly do. I mean, for me, I came out early. So I already made the decision for myself that I was betting on myself. I don't need an agent to tell me. An agent, their job isn't going to be getting you from pick 29 to pick 1. Like it's an impossibility. It's unrealistic, and it's delusional if you think an agent is going to improve your draft stock, your draft status. That's not how it works. In fact, if you look at what an agent means, the term of it, it means to seek something, to find it. You're getting an agent to find you a job. Well, you don't need to be having somebody find you a job when you're a draft pick and you have draft grades. So to me, I looked at it like I talked to the coaches, and my coaches was like, yeah, this is like, it looks good for you. Like, you could come back, but just know you're not going to improve your draft status. They didn't say, yep, you're a top 5 pick, you're a top 3 pick. Yep, you're number 1 guy. Like, they just said that your status is that of one that's high enough where if you came out this year or next year, the only thing you could possibly do next year is maybe hurt your status, hurt your stock. So to me, when it gets into all of these agents, they fight for relevancy. And being able to fight for relevancy, you got to be able to say, I'm offering something that you don't already have. That's me enticing or influencing the media to talk about you and to make your draft stock change and your status change. I did that. I'm the one that talked to these franchises and these GMs and these owners. I did that. I'm the one that made you hot. No, you didn't. You didn't. Stop all that. But, cats be clout chasing. People go for it, and that's how things go, That's how these relationships work. They're give and take relationships.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of different sides to this. All right, so you've got people that talk to the media and give out potentially some revelations about certain interests that teams might have in certain players. For example, Dan Pompei of The Athletic, he threw in that there's some talk amongst anonymous scouts about Caleb Williams. Some of these quotes include 4 of the 8 scouts rated Williams last overall in immeasurables, and 3 rated him next to last. They also talked about him painting his fingernails and crying in his mother's arms in the stands after USC lost to Washington. That raised questions about his toughness. Another said, I think his toughness is yet to be determined, but when you end up sobbing in your mom's arms after getting beat, that's a disqualifier for people who aren't picking in the top few picks. I'd also say they're disqualified because, if you're picking past 1, like, why are you even having a conversation?
Why are you even worried about it for? Right, what are you worried about it for?
So I'll say this, and I feel like all 32 teams should always do their due diligence, because you never know when that player comes up for free agency, when there's the potential of a trade. So you want to have a background on these guys, right? You don't want to 3-4 years down the road be going back to their high school or colleges and trying to figure out things, right? A lot can change in that amount of time. So that's why some of these scouts, some of these general managers are making sure that even though they don't need a quarterback, they're doing all their due diligence, where something can change in an instant with players. Like, we're humans, we're people. Like, that stuff can turn on a dime, where all of a sudden a guy's unhappy, doesn't want to be there anymore. Thought you had a franchise quarterback, now you don't. So I understand why they're doing their due diligence by it, but I would just say this, generally speaking, if that's how a scout feels about Caleb Williams, then that guy's eventually going to get fired. Like, he'll eventually get exposed in the sense of he's such a legit talent, and everyone's got, different things that are unique about them, or that some people view as things they don't like, or maybe things that are just different, okay? But he's that good of a quarterback where if that scout, if that individual feels like he's just last of all these, they're measurables, put on the tape, dude. Watch this guy play quarterback.
He ain't last at that.
No, and that's all that matters. So if whoever clown that said that was a scout, all right, good luck. I hope you're in the position where you have to then judge these guys in the future, and then your job relies on that, because that's a terrible way of describing and looking at it. And it's a cowardly way, too, with the anonymous source. Like, put your name on it. Like, that's the thing I hate about it.
That's called standing on business. Stand on that S. You said it. Say I said it. I said it was whack cheese for him to sob in his mom's arm. I said it. And I even know the kid. I had the kid in one of my All-Star games. I know him. I stood on business. I said I didn't like it. I stood on it. Say it. If you saying all this stuff, say it. Put your name on it.
But that's also why I don't feel like they're actually anonymous scouts. I think it's agents just making stuff up. And agents say that, I heard a scout say this. Because any scout that I've known, like they don't want to say much. I try to talk to scouts when we go to college football games, who they're looking at. Like, here's the one thing that they always say. It's a standard response. We're only looking at the seniors. Because they don't want it to be perceived that they're looking at guys who are draft eligible after that season, even though they still have eligibility left in college. So a lot of times they give you this canned response of, we're only looking at this guy. Trust me, when they're there at games, they're looking at everyone. Because they're doing advanced scouting for the guys in next year's draft class who are draft eligible, guys who are draft eligible that might not come out, maybe they will. They're looking at all of it. But that is the canned standard response that you get. So I can't imagine that any scouts are actually saying this. I really do think it's agents just making crap up like they always do.
Well, we're taking him off our draft board. Don't worry about it. If you're picking 2 to 32, you've already been taken off the draft board. He's not going to be there, so I wouldn't even worry about it.